Hi everybody, my name is Daniel Osborne. I'm the APAC Marketing Director at Manhattan Associates, and I'm here today in Brisbane, Australia with Brian Townshend, the GM of Omni Retail at Super Retail Group. Welcome Brian, thank you for joining us today for Momentum Connect. Super Retail Group has been a customer of Manhattan Associates here in Australia for over 15 years. And less than 12 months ago, they went live with Manhattan Active Omni, the first customer in Australia to go live on Manhattan Active Omni, and they saw initial benefits on day one. It's been an amazing, 10 months that Super Retail Group have been through with Manhattan Associates. So before we start talking about your Manhattan Active Omni project, can you please share with us who Super Retail Group is and how important you are to retail in Australia and New Zealand?
Sure. Thank you for inviting me along. Great to be here. Super Retail Group is one of the leading retailers in Australia and New Zealand. We're all about inspiring our customers to live their passion, and we've got 4 core brands that support that. The number one is BCF, Boating, Camping and Fishing. And boating and camping and fishing is huge in Australia. It is the number one passion, and we are the leading retailer in that category. Rebel Sports, leading sports retailer. We've got Supercheap Auto, which is the leading automotive retailer, and our last brand is called Macpac, which is an adventure brand, so making of backpacks, apparel, and we operate across Australia and New Zealand. Over 600 stores, 5 distribution centres, 6 high converting websites, and over 13,000 team members. So reasonable scale and player within the region.
Now tell me your role. We don't come across a lot of people whose job title contains Omni Retail or Omnichannel. So tell me a bit more about your role here at Super Retail Group.
So I've been here just over 3 years, and my role fundamentally has been to develop and drive our Omni Retail strategy. And with that, it isn't just technology, it's people, process, culture, the mindset. We've gone through the typical stages of a retailer when online came along, like number one, denial. Customers will never buy stuff online. They want to touch it and feel it. To some element of recognition, maybe this thing's a bit real, we better build a website. To actually maybe some acceptance, we need a website that does click and collect and our channels can operate independently, to fundamentally where we are now, which is embrace. And embrace is just torn up the rule book. It's around focusing on that customer and providing an integrated experience that's right for the customer. Break down the silos, blur the lines. We want to provide a customer-centric experience. And in reality, that is an omni, it's an integrated. So we try and stop talking about channel and we focus on the customer. And my role has been very much around developing that, rolling that out, helping our team members embrace it, helping our customers embrace it, and making sure we're fit for purpose for the future.
Sure. So how many physical retail stores does Super Retail Group have?
So we have just over 600 physical stores, and that's across all of the brands in Australia and New Zealand. And all of those stores are capable of click and collect. They're all capable of being fulfillment centres if we feel it's appropriate for that store to fulfill it from as well.
Okay. So as a customer, I use Rebel Sport all the time.
Good.
Especially during the pandemic, I bought all my fitness gear from Rebel Sport. Not much of a camping, fishing kind of guy, but I love going to Rebel Sport. And so tell me, okay, as a customer, I'm going onto your website, I'm picking and choosing my gear. I put my Atlanta Braves jersey in the cart, I transacted. Now, what if I wanted to get it delivered to my home? What would happen to that order then?
So it's then understanding where is the best place to fulfill that order from. And we have the logic in the order management system, the MAO product, to look at where's the right place to send it to get it to you on the delivery promise. So how long did we say we'd get it to you? Is it 2 days? Is it 3 days? How quickly can we get it to you? But importantly, where's the cheapest place for us to send it from as well? So there's a profitability consideration. And we're much more sophisticated now than we used to be, because actually we take into account how much does it cost to pick and pack from different locations. a DC versus a store. How much can a store handle in one day? We don't want to completely swamp a store with too many online orders that impacts them serving customers that walk through. So we'll find the right place to send that product to, and we will then again pick it and pack it. We'll send you the appropriate information. We'll work with our partners to make sure you get it on time.
Sure. So you went live with Manhattan Active Omni back in June 2020 across all of your brands in one hit, or spaced it out over a few weeks?
It was spaced out over a few weeks. It's fair to say our release plan changed as a result of COVID. So best laid plans, start with the smallest brand, lowest risk, get it live, monitor it, improve. Completely turned on its head when COVID hit. Rebel is our biggest online brand that has the most online home deliveries. So we were, right, actually Rebel is where we're hurting the most. We went live with Rebel first. And then we quickly rolled it out to the other brands. So the rollout side of it was condensed. And we saw benefits as a direct result.
Sure. So, you went live in June. Now, some companies would think that was crazy, given it was, the peak of the pandemic here in Australia, where we had lockdowns across all states, retail stores had shut down, people working from home. You just mentioned then it wasn't your plan to go live then. So what happened? Why did you end up going live in June?
So Rebel in particular, as you said, had real peak demand for certain products. It's a bit of a dad joke, but we had a run on running machines. So forgive me for that. But actually, the spike in online orders that we had meant that the supply chain and the decision logic was fundamental to improve, because it was A, again, hitting our customer promise, but B, the profitability of our online orders. So how do we make sure we fulfill the orders on time and in a profitable way? And bearing in mind the volume that was coming through, the sooner we made that change, the better. So we absolutely accelerated the MAO project to make sure that we started realizing those benefits, like literally when we were under peak stress. Under normal circumstances, it's not the ideal time to launch a project, but we did a risk assessment. We were confident in the solution. We were confident in the support team that we had around it, and we were confident we'd get the outcome. And thankfully we did.
And we're thankful that you did. So tell me, how did you manage it? Because your head office would have been closed.
Yep.
So how did the team get together and pull this off?
We had an amazing team, and it's all credit to the team that made it happen, 100%. I know it's easy to say, but genuinely the team were incredible under ridiculous circumstances. Importantly for us, we had a meeting cadence of kind of daily stand-ups, our rhythm of working in sprints, using the right technology to support it, that actually working with people in disparate locations was actually part of the fabric of the project already. We had people in different countries already working on it. So actually, when everyone started working remotely, yes, there was some adjustment, but we had the processes and the tools in place to handle that. And yes, we had to introduce some certain touch points and interactions, but the team remained focused on the goal. They absolutely recognized the value we needed to drive and were committed to making it happen. And we worked as one team, which was really, really important for us. So there was people from Manhattan integrated in the team, and it was that DNA, that spirit of working as one to get the outcome that saw us through.
Let's go back a few years. So what were you doing before Manhattan Active Omni, and what happened? Like, what was the catalyst for you to go, you know what, we need to do something as a business? Our customers are evolving, they're engaging with us more. Sure. What's happening where we go, we need an order management system? And what were you looking for in an order management system? Because there's a lot out there, mm-hmm. but they're not the same. And so when did you identify that you needed an order management system? And what were you looking for when it came to features and functionality?
So our old order allocation logic was very, very crude. We literally looked for the nearest location of stock, and we sent the order to that nearest location based on where the customer was. On one level, that sounds eminently sensible.
Yeah, sounds logical.
On another level, when you peel it back, it's fundamentally flawed. The order itself doesn't go directly from that store location to the customer. It gets picked up, it goes somewhere else to a sorting office, it works its way through, it comes back, etc. So we needed to find order allocation logic that actually made the delivery promise consistent. We were confident in our delivery promise, and equally the profitability of those online orders. So as online orders continued to grow and grow and grow, historically our online orders were less profitable than our store orders, our store sales. And as online continues to grow, we had to avoid like eroding our profit. So fundamentally, we needed to find a tool that enabled us to make online as profitable as possible. So therefore, our use case was around reducing our delivery cost, with obviously the business goal of then saying we will continue to drive profit in a consistent way that delivers on our customer promise. We went to market and assessed, as you would expect, talked to Gartner, looked at the different use cases, had all of the show and tells. Fundamentally, we were looking for a partner that had a tool that gave us confidence that it was more than a tool, it was a partnership that we could work together. We had flexibility in the logic, in the model, because who knows what's around the corner. Having that flexibility is key. And ultimately, we were looking for a DNA fit in the partner as well. Who is actually going to work with us, not just now, but in the future, and the capability has a roadmap that we can see aligns to our future as well, as opposed to we introduce something that then actually in 18 months, 2 years is no longer fit for purpose. The order management system is a key tool in our landscape, and it's a key tool for driving our profitability moving forwards. So finding a partner that we believed was going to be with us on that journey was imperative.
Okay. So you selected Manhattan Active Omni back in 2019?
Yes.
Back in 2019. So what were the key things that stood out for you to go, okay, so because let's be honest, from a Manhattan Associate standpoint, we've been selling this solution around the world, but in Australia, you are our first customer. Mm-hmm. So did that play on your mind? Did you see that as being a risk? Because the first one going down this path, even though it's been a solution that we've been running around the world for so many years, did you deem that as being a risk?
So one of the things that attracted us to Mayo, cloud native, versionless, so it rolls forward with us and our needs, which is really important. As for was it a risk being first in territory? It's a really interesting topic. Some of my colleagues were going, "Oh, Brian, be careful." Like we work in a global world, right? People are developing in different countries. It's in the cloud. The fact that we haven't got a use case down the road yet, I can still talk to people in the States, doing our reference calls, understanding has it done what you expected, and so forth. Geography, quite frankly, was irrelevant to me. It was around the solution, the company, the fit, the culture, as opposed to is there somebody else in Australia that's used this. Geography is irrelevant.
Interesting. So June 2020, you went live with your biggest brand, Rebel Sport. What benefits did you see on day one?
The go live introduced several key benefits. Day one, historically, we would send orders to stores to be fulfilled from, and a large number of those would get rejected by the store. They'd go to the shelf, so I haven't got that, sorry, and reject it. And a rejected order typically adds 24 hours delay because it needs to then go through the cycle and be reallocated. It tends to then mean we miss our customer promise, which obviously then creates problems in our customer contact center. So instantly having a single view of inventory and accuracy around that inventory, it reduced the rejected orders like literally day one, which was phenomenal. Our team members were delighted in store. The second component of the profitability was reducing our splits and reducing our interstates. So splits being obviously when we split the order and we send two. So that was a key driver. How can we reduce that? And then the interstate. So using the order allocation logic to say, actually, where are all of the different components? What are the cost profiles against these different areas to pick, pack, and ship from? Was a real kind of early win that we saw, and we continue to optimize the rule set. But importantly, we now use the insight to drive our inventory allocation logic as well. So the order management system in itself is not a silver bullet. You fundamentally need to have the stock in the right place as well, and the two need to work hand in glove. So we continue to drive benefit by using that insight that comes from the tool set.
Sure. So when with the pandemic and everything that happened in 2020, did you tell us about what was happening in your online order space? You obviously received an influx of orders. What's an influx? Did you double your normal orders or triple, or like what could you compare it to? Like,
so online became Black Friday every day for us, particularly with Rebel. When the gyms closed, like Rebel just went through the roof, absolutely through the roof. You know, the weights, the running machines, the rowing machines. The second wave was table tennis tables, basketballs. How do I keep the kids entertained? And all of these are big, bulky items.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a pair of sneakers that you put in a box and off you go. So we were experiencing Black Friday every day. And that put incredible pressure on the supply chain guys, incredible pressure on the customer contact center. But importantly, a lot of the pre-work and the investment and the building of processes was in place. It was all about scale and handling the scale as opposed to scrambling to kind of define a process or be able to handle it. And the order management system certainly helped us handle that volume. And it also gave us some flexibility around if we saw one particular location really struggling with their volume, being able to easily redirect orders to different places to balance out
in real time,
to balance out those peaks where we were experiencing it. And even today, when we see different activity happening in different states, so for example, when Queensland wasn't locked down but Victoria was, there was different activity happening in different states as well. So being able to handle the different profile in demand, not just at a country, but at a state level, and using the rule set to help determine that, right, it became, oh my God, what on earth would we have done without this? Like, it really was. It was a perfect use case of like stress testing the system, the capability, and the tools that we put around it, and the process we put around it, like from day one. There was no grace period. Like, we are on.
So when Manhattan Associates worked with your team to build this solution around your requirements, at no time did any of us ever expect that as soon as you'd go live that you would experience Black Friday every single day.
No.
But does that give you confidence that the system was so key and so seamlessly be able to handle that? Like, do you think that this growth is going to continue?
The growth in online is here to stay. I mean, where it's come down, as you'd expect, you know, it's not Black Friday every day, things are normalised in Australia, but that said, the bar is much higher now than what it was. It absolutely handled the increase in volume and velocity, and again, the benefit of being in the cloud, you know, you can make those adjustments. So actually the order management system was the least of our problems. There was other legacy systems that were creaking, that just reinforced the benefit of being in the cloud on certain components of that end-to-end customer experience.
And it really just summed up the decision, the reason why you went with Manhattan Active Omni, knowing that, you know, if you did go through another Black Friday every single day, the system could easily handle it.
Oh, we all patted ourselves on the back for making such a smart decision on initiating the project when we did. It's fair to say, absolutely, we were like, geez, imagine if we hadn't, or indeed we'd be at this point now saying, right, we need to do something. Yeah. Because it takes time.
Oh, exactly, right? So you selected Manhattan Active Omni back in 2019, not knowing any of this would happen, planning to go live probably towards the end of 2020. you decided to accelerate that because of everything that was happening. And you must wake up, go, thank goodness. Thank goodness that there was something in place to be able to handle that, because, you know, being a publicly listed company, a lot of pressure on you and your team, and given everything that the country was going through in the world, it must go, yeah, thank goodness. Thank goodness that's one problem that we don't have to deal with. 100%. Your previous solution that you had, did it give you real-time visibility on what? No, didn't. No. So what happened? How did you?
I've moved on. Don't make me go back. So yeah, there was no real-time view of inventory. It was like a once a day update, which created all sorts of challenges, as you'd expect. Really crude allocation logic. A lot of, why are you sending me this order? I haven't got this stock. Frustration with the team in stores. And when you're trying to drive a cultural change and embracing of somebody that works in a store with the online experience and actually thinking about customer, if we're creating a problem for them every single day, that's going to erode the confidence in the new way and the new way of working. So fixing that and the impact it had on the hearts and minds and the cultural journey we're on was really massive. You can't underestimate the importance of that, let alone the financial benefits associated with improving the profitability of our online orders.
Yeah, that's amazing. So tell us, you've mentioned a couple of times partnership and the partnership with Manhattan Associates on this project. Now, Manhattan Associates in Australia has been operating for well over 20 years now, and we've been working with Super Retail Group for about 15 years, just over 15 years, in your warehouse supply chain side of things, and now moving over to order management. So what does partnership mean for you?
For me, partnership is in it for the long game, and recognizing that you can work together on a problem. You're not after a quick buck or opportunity of bagging like this month's sales number. It's the long game, and it's about then driving a win-win for both parties. And for us, it's fundamental. It is, we want to work with people that have input and we can come up with a shared vision, input into really helping us get to that next level, continue to grow, and fundamentally we grow together. And that DNA, that fabric of that relationship is absolutely critical. And you know, when you operate in the supply chain space, I mean, supply chain has never been in so much focus. Like now, of like, where are we shipping items from? Where are they coming from? Supply chain is where it's at, and making sure we've got the strong partnership there is really important for us.
Fantastic, and I know the whole team at Manhattan Associates here in Australia and even around the world so proud of this project and what you've been able to achieve under such difficult and challenging circumstances. Right, so it's been it's been so exciting for all of us. So tell me, what's next? What's next on this journey that you're going on, this Omni Retail journey? What's next for Super Retail Group?
In many ways, we're just getting started, and that's quite sobering. We've made huge progress, absolutely huge progress, but in many ways, I'm kind of like, okay, we're just getting going. In our DNA is being customer focused, and we are ultimately led by the customer. I've come from the UK, been in Australia just over 3 years, and there's still a lot of activity that was happening in the UK 3 years ago that I'm not seeing in Australia. So as a country, I think we're kind of in catch-up mode, even though it's been accelerated. So really thinking more intrinsically around the end-to-end customer experience. What are those different touch points? And how do we make sure we continue to engage them and not just satisfy their need, but delight them is really important. So there's a number of big initiatives that go to undermine our infrastructure, if you like. There's a number of smaller ones, but fundamentally it's come from that customer insight, focusing on that customer. So how do we improve the click and collect process? For example, you know, it's 45% of our online orders are click and collect. How do we streamline that? How do we take friction out? How do we avoid somebody then standing in a queue in store for 15 minutes to pick up their click and collect? It takes the point out, right?
Yeah.
If they're standing there waiting. So, improving our delivery propositions. So now we understand where our inventory is and where the customer is and how long we can get it to, or how long it will take to get it to the customer. Actually improving our delivery propositions is going to be big for us as well, because now we can actually give a confident promise. Before, we used to give quite a vague promise.
So around this time?
To cover,
Yeah, you'll get delivered on a Friday sometime, maybe.
It'll take about 5 or 6 days, you'll be all right, mate.
Yeah,
you know
right,
what Australia's like. Whereas actually now, increasingly, right, we can get it to you in 2 days. And we can say that confidently. So really driving forward our delivery propositions is going to be important. And that, there's a number of components. Very, very exciting. We've achieved a lot, but boy, we're just getting started.
Before we finish, Brian, and we really appreciate your time today. And I just want to ask you one last question. Like, what is your vision from an Omni Retail fulfillment standpoint? What is your vision for that customer promise? Are you, in your eyes, what do you want it to look like in the future?
Ultimately, it comes down to choice. And there's, on one level, an inherent focus on speed. How can we get it to the customer as quickly as possible? But the reality is, not all of our customers necessarily want it the next day and are prepared to pay for the next day, because the next day comes at a premium. So actually providing choice for us is really important. And saying, look, actually, if you do want it next day, or indeed today, we can get it to you, and this is when you'll get it, and this is how much it will cost. If you're happy to wait, say 4 days, then actually this is the cost associated with it. And that comes back to understanding where the inventory is and confidence in the allocation and getting to the customer on time. But providing more choice means ultimately the customer is in control, as opposed to our systems or processes putting limits on the customer choice. So that choice sits at the heart.
Sure. So you got the Manhattan Active Omni Order Management solution in place that will give you real-time visibility on your inventory. So that problem solved, right? It's been a pleasure, and we're happy to solve that problem for you. So the next thing is choice, fulfillment options for the customer. So they get to pick what they want, when they want, how they want.
So certainly the timing is the ultimate cost driver. We're trying to reduce our footprint across everything, but there may well be actually we can get it to you without sticking it on a plane, and that will take 2 days extra. Are you cool with that? And it may cost less, but they would know actually, there's an environmental benefit associated with that.
That's awesome. I really appreciate your time, Brian. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, from Momentum Connect. It's been a pleasure. Stay safe.